So if you look at today's supply chain innovators, they don't talk about a singular product. They don't talk about an air, an ocean, a road, a rail. They talk about multimodality, and they talk about mobility of supply chains.
But seen from the wider supply chain, what I would like to hear your views on are, seen from your perspective, have we come back to normal after the pandemic? What is even normal, or has the normal changed?
So everything that's said here, I totally agree with, of course. But the past definitely defines the future, or helps shape the future. So when we talk about the normal, we have to understand whether we're talking about the industry practices, whether we're talking about the behaviours, the technology, or the overall supply chain methodology that we approach. If we look at the solutions that exist today, they're exactly the same solutions that existed 10 years ago. We haven't really moved the needle that far. If we look at behaviours, then we're looking at a whole different spectrum, because one thing that COVID did, or the pandemic was responsible for, was changing mindsets, was driving a level of collaboration that this industry has never seen before. Now, some of that disappeared the day after the mask came off, but some of it also stuck around. So if you look at today's supply chain innovators, they don't talk about a singular product. They don't talk about an air, an ocean, a road, a rail. They talk about multimodality, and they talk about mobility of supply chains. They talk about the ability to be able to defer supply chain decisions. You know, whether we accept it or not, our supply chains are bloated. If you look at European supply chains today, they're very, very bloated. And the issue isn't the supply chain, the issue is the balance sheet impact. So what does that mean for the new normal? It means that when we go to speak to a customer in the supply chain about a solution, we're no longer talking about a rate. We're talking about a balance sheet issue. We're talking about an inventory placement issue. We're talking about sustainability. We're talking about their procurement strategies and how technology is changing and how we can use that to move towards a norm which is predictive, which allows us to really learn from the lessons of the past, as opposed to be better prepared to repeat them. Okay, so that's where I think we're seeing a step change. We're seeing a much more forward-looking industry. Our customers are super well informed. Their bruises from COVID are very fresh still, whether that's a financial bruise or an inventory or whatever that may be. They've been let down by some of the partnerships you referred to. You know, we've all signed block space agreements thinking we've done the deal of the decade. And COVID came along, and that deal of the decade suddenly put your containers right at the back of the queue if you were lucky. People learn from this. The industry learns from this. So the new norm will take these learnings and it will address them in its contracts. It will address them in the way it partners, and it will address them in how it recognises value.